Have you ever wondered what would happen if you listened to your next door neighbor? Or the colleague at work you say good morning to? Or the woman begging down the street? Or the single mother struggling with her children in your supermarket? What would they tell you? What stories might they have had? I am Leah, and welcome to the Voice of Lilith, a podcast that liberates women's voices through intimate and honest conversations and incredible stories that make you want to reach out and listen to all the women in your life. Love can be a blessing, and love can also be the worst curse, disguised as the greatest blessing when you love the wrong person. Eva is in high school when she falls in love with John. She then begins a year-long ordeal. Her love story turns into a nightmare that will change the vision of love she had until then. Trigger warning, this episode deals with sensitive issues. See the episode description for more information.
I've met John when I was in my high school because we were both studying there. And soon we became really good friends, and soon I discovered that he likes me, but I was always close friends with him, so I never considered dating him. But then most of my friends proposed that we get along really well, so why shouldn't we go out or be together? I started considering he's such a nice person and a close person to me, and we get along. And one day he took me on a date. It was cute, very fun. It felt really good for me. One thing he told me at the end of the date was that he's a very jealous person, and he warned me about his actions towards things. That night we started to have a relationship together, and first it was going really well. We were very happy, but most of the people in high school weren't believing us that we were dating. They were saying that I'm out of his league and why would I go out with him or something like that. So basically bullying him. And I believe that it became an insecurity for him. I will leave him one day for another person or more handsome person. And he became more and more jealous and more protective. He was always jealous of my friends, my friend groups, even my girlfriends or my guy friends. Didn't matter which sex they had or whatever. But he was always telling me that I shouldn't hang out with that person, or that person probably likes me, or whatever. And then his jealousy got even bigger and bigger, and I would say in a toxic level. My best friend, my girl best friend, I'm only saying the sex because it's not in a typical guy-girl relationship type of a friendship either. My girl best friend, she's like my sister. She lost her father very suddenly, and then I needed to make time for her, of course, because she was going through something traumatic and devastating for her and for her family. But my boyfriend at that time, John, was very jealous the time that I was spending with her. When we were laying at the same bed, he was jealous of that too. He was asking me why she was laying in the same bed with me, and it's not all right and stuff too. But, you know, you're just friends that's sharing a bed and just, you know, having a sleepover together and just having fun or whatever too. In school times, he was jealous about the time that I was spending with her too. If I was spending my lunch breaks with her, he was being jealous, and he was saying that I'm not giving him more attention, or I'm giving too much attention to my friend, which that time I was trying to say, yeah, but you know, she lost his father, so I should be nice to her and she's my best friend. I didn't get that that was like a kind of a toxic move or toxic things to say. And I was always telling him, well, we can hang out after school if you have time. But he was always telling me that I don't have time after school because you live more far away from me. And he was always making these kind of excuses and not meeting with me or giving me the time or giving a time to the relationship. Months passed by and the relationship began more of a school relationship. And then we weren't meeting up outside of school or hanging out or doing that much stuff either. And he was acting different towards me and different to other people. He was acting miserable and jealous towards me and making up excuses about his family issues, but then acting very differently to his friends or people in the school. He was justifying his actions by telling me that he can only talk to me about his issues and stuff. Then, since we couldn't meet after school, which was not my problem either, I was always the one suggesting to meet. He started to ask me nude photos and stuff, which I wasn't comfortable with. And he started to force me to send them and started to say if I don't do that, he will leave me and he will break up with me. And he knew that I needed him because I was going through some issues and family stuff, and I couldn't talk with my best friend at that time because she was going through a devastating family trauma too. So I felt like, okay, I should keep him around me because he's the only person who can listen to me or maybe understand me. Then months went by, and when we were having sex, apparently he took my photos without my consent, which I didn't know or didn't see. But sometime later, I think he felt bad for his actions, and he considered himself to be a good man and a religious man. So I think he confronted himself in that case too. I don't know his mindset or thoughts, whatever. But he came up to me and said that he took my pictures while having sex or while we were FaceTiming when I was changing my clothes. He took my photos and I confronted him and said I want them to be deleted. And I kind of make sure that he deleted them, but I don't know if he still has them or saved them somewhere else too, but I'm just hoping that he deleted them in front of me. Later on, our relationship, of course, started to get in a worse place because of these kind of trust issues, but I was always telling to myself that, okay, he made one mistake and I couldn't go talk with another person about those. I felt like if I told someone, they would think that I'm the one to blame or why did I stayed with him afterwards or whatever. And then I didn't want to worry my parents or make a big deal out of it. I think I was just scared or didn't know how to react to it. And until I came to Netherlands, I didn't think that this wasn't such an issue. This was like a traumatic experience, or I didn't realize that this was like kind of psychological abuse, what he did, or maybe sexual abuse. And later on, he started to say comments about what I wear, what I shouldn't wear outside, or what I wear isn't okay if I'm going out with my friends or whatever, and if he's not there. So I felt like, hey, this is not okay. And then if something looked good on me, he was threatening me to tell lies about me to my sister or to my friends, things that are not true. But he said that no one will believe you if they're true or not. They would suspect that maybe if it's true or not. That time we were talking from Snapchat, so I just took a screenshot of the chat because I sent him my outfit to show him how do I look, and I wanted to see if I looked good or not for that event that I'm going. He knew that I screenshotted it because of the screenshot notification, and he asked me why did I do that, and I told him I'm gonna have an evidence against you if you try to threaten me again. And I told him it's not okay. And he asked me to delete them, but this time I was like, yeah, I'm gonna tell him that I deleted it, and I'm not gonna delete it because I just wanted to have a power against him too, because he was holding too many power against me at this point, psychologically or sexually. Then after times went by, I realized that, okay, this is not something to continue on, and I was gonna move to Netherlands, and I never intended this relationship to go really long time either, but I just felt like, okay, this is not good. This is not good for my mental health. This is not good for my life. So I just decided to break up with him. I couldn't do that face to face. He was still angry at me, and he was playing the victim card towards me. He was acting miserable towards me. He was sending his friends to tell me that how sad he is. He was sending me messages that he's very sad and he's not gonna do anything like that. And I'm the love of his life. And I told him that if love is like this, then I don't want to feel love, or I don't want to be loved by you, basically. Then I came to Netherlands, and I told him, since he was going through family issues, I told him that he can contact me if there's something that he cannot handle with, because I know that it was hard on him. I was still trying to be mature and nice towards him, because I felt like he needed help with some stuff too. So I discovered that when I came to Netherlands, he was still interfering with my life. He was asking me questions about where am I, what am I doing outside this late, or what am I wearing, or if there are guys around. And I was trying to tell him that, okay, we broke up, and I only told you that we can be friends, or you can talk to me if you have a problem, not like this. But later on, he started to talk about me to his friends, his new university friends. And a lot of new people knew my name, knew my story, a story that isn't true, only one-sided and full of lies to people, that how he is the miserable one, how I left him when he had his family issues. Then a lot of people started to contact me and saying that why did I break his heart and whatever. But I told them that this is something between me and him. And one night when I was drinking with friends, we were playing drinking games and something like Truth or Dare, I believe. For the first time in my life, after a year later, I confessed to people around me that I was psychologically or sexually abused, and that felt such a relief towards me. I felt so powerful, and I felt like, okay, this wasn't my fault, because I started to see that these kind of stuff are happening to people around me, and I wasn't the blame. I didn't do anything wrong, and that person was the blame. And I stopped talking with him, and I told him that this is not good. This is not good to talk, and it's not good to keep in touch or have any relation whatsoever. He discovered that I made a boyfriend. He started asking around my friends in here, who is he like? Or he went through my Instagram, I don't know from which account, because at that time I think he wasn't following me, but I'm not sure. He stalked me and he found my boyfriend at that time, and he sent him a friend request, and he was doing so many kinds of these irrational and fast things that I didn't want it in my life. Once we were sitting with my friends, and he sent me a ticket to Amsterdam, and he told me that he's coming to Amsterdam and he wants to meet with me. And I was in shock. I didn't know what to do, and I was in a panic mood, and I was talking to my friends that were next to me, and I was telling them that I don't want to meet with him, but he's coming here. What if he comes to the city I live? What am I gonna do? Because some of people from my high school were studying at the same city as me too, so I was feeling a bit panicked, and I wasn't feeling comfortable about him being at the same country as me. Then some things didn't add up. We sat down with my friends, and then we were thinking that why Air Canada would fly from my country to Netherlands, and why would he use a first-class ticket to come to Netherlands when those didn't exist before? So we were a bit skeptical about what's going on, and there were some unanswered stuff going on. And then I wanted to search for the flight, if the flight exists, but no flight was happening from my country to Netherlands, and especially with Air Canada. So we were a bit confused about what's going on. And then when I made the ticket larger, I saw a website name and I Googled that website and I figured out that's a website to send fake first class tickets. And then I got really angry and I sent him a really angry text and I told him that I never ever want anything to do with him in my life. I never want to speak of his name and I never want him in my life. And I told him that, again, if love is something like this, then my thoughts about love are wrong and different than what his thoughts about love. And I told him that this is an obsession, this is not love, this is making himself justified and manipulating me just to talk to him or maybe get back together with him. In conclusion, this whole journey made me feel like this whole situation happening around, especially towards women, isn't something what they're doing or what they are causing, which I thought at the first time it was my fault or it was my problem. And I thought that I was alone or people close to me wouldn't understand me or judge me in the first place. But I've seen that a lot of people going through these kind of problems, no matter what sex they are, but a lot of people are experiencing these kind of stuff, maybe worse, maybe more milder than mine, but it doesn't matter. I started to have a very strong opinion towards what is consensual and what is not, and what consent means or not either. When I came to Netherlands, of course, in every country in the world, this kind of stuff can happen. But when I came to the Netherlands, I saw that these kind of stuff happen to many people all around the world, because I got to meet with a lot of people that went through similar stuff like me. And I had some small incidents in here about being grabbed in the club or whatever. And at that time, I started to really speak up. And at that time, I really said to myself that I'm never gonna be quiet again. Or if someone is going through something like this, I'm always try to help them as much as I can, or in any way I can. So thank you for listening to my story, and I hope that I can inspire some other people to speak up or confront their abusers or bullies or whatever.
You have just listened to the Voice of Lilith. Eva, if love is like this, then I don't want it. This episode was edited by Pauline Osmuk. The intro and outro music tracks were produced by Eva Dortmund, and the graphic design by Noemi Ribeiro da Silva. Thank you to our guest of the day, Eva, for her testimony and her trust. See you soon for a new episode of The Voice of Lilith.